Chapter 55-46. Sadness and joy are indescribable feelings. If she had seen Jian Wushuang's wolf ambition clearly, it would be a happy event. Sadly, she was already tempted. She even imagined that she rescued her father and lived the life of the three together. All this turned into a bubble. Gong Miaoyi crouched on the ground, paused, and then respectfully said, "I also ask Senior to help the junior rescue his father. I am willing to do everything." "Okay. As long as you agree, those who make things difficult for your father will disappear immediately." The was overjoyed. The investment in Gong Miaoyi finally saw a return. The guidance along the way has now been completely won. He really valued Jian Wushuang, especially after Jian Wushuang discovered the giant egg. He began to plan how to catch Jian Wushuang. Unexpectedly, this time, it could be delivered to his mouth. "Want to calculate me?" The spirit leaked a sneer. "It's far worse. He is a god, an omnipotent god. Although trapped in the first prison, there is always his shadow in the 4 secret realms. Little girl, you only need to put these 6 spirit flags into the 6 designated places. When I grab Jian Wushuang, I will send you and Nai Yuan to the realm, where someone will shelter your father and daughter." 2. The said sincerely. Gong Miaoyi had no choice. She didn't want to wait any longer. Besides, who knew that Jian Wushuang had thought about saving her father? Everything is a chess piece. Maybe she will be abandoned if she is used up. After Gong Miaoyi put away the 6 soul flags, the grimace disappeared. Before disappearing, they did not forget to remind, "Remember, don't believe anything about Jian Wushuang, he is a complete liar. Others don't know, but the gods are very aware of the nasty things Jian Wushuang has done." On the other side, Jian Wushuang just broke the sound transmission with Wu Zuo, and he sneezed, always feeling obedient there, and his mind was a little turbulent. "Could it be that the gods noticed me?" Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, "It is really possible." He had asked Wu Zuo to find a way to contact Nai Yuan, and wanted the other party to cooperate with them. Now there is only such a way. You cannot kill. Can only win each other. In the corner of the mine, the guards around Nai Yuan suddenly dispersed for some reason, and were not going to make things difficult for Nai Yuan. Nai Yuan was surprised at this, but didn't think much about it. His will was very firm and he must go out from here. He also had to go to the Tomb Mountain, where he could reverse the time and space to revive his Taoist companion. But at this moment, a consciousness entered his body. "Nai Yuan." The voice is very familiar to Jian Wushuang, and Zheng Wuzuo personally transmits it. At present, only 3 people know about this matter, and Nai Yuan is now the 4th. The first 3, Zhanling, Wuzuo, and Jian Wushuang, joined forces, and the entire temple of Qishan was in danger of destruction. Nai Yuan, a 5th-order emperor, was very lucky to be able to know such top-secret things, and it was still a matter of safety with the Qishan temple. This time, as long as the plan is successful, the resuscitation of his Taoist companion will be a trivial matter. Don't just revive a person, those emperors who have fallen in the 4 secret realms can all be revitalized. Unless it is the collapse of the mind and consciousness, it can be resurrected. True spirit has this method. It is easy to resurrect a 4th-order emperor. Gong Miaoyi's mother was just a 4th-order peak emperor, and could not consume much power from the Sea of Origin. When Nai Yuan heard the voice in his mind, the whole person was stunned. He thought he had auditory hallucinations. He was shocked. The emperor and the strong man appeared auditory hallucinations. This was probably because his mind was fragile. It's a dying performance. There are still many things he has not done. How dare to die, and there is still no epoch since he was born. How could his mind and consciousness show signs of weakness? Don't be surprised. From the Senate Palace, not named Wuzuo Nai Yuan was a little surprised when he heard that it was from the Yuan Palace, and then a little angry. He was murdered by the people in the Senate Palace. Now that his apprentices are still robbed, he hates the Senate Palace, especially the people in the Law Enforcement Hall, for a long time. Wuzuo. Nai Yuan didn't answer yet, but he remembered the name of this familiar and terrifying person. Wuzuo. This name is very resounding in the Northern Realm, or in the entire Celestial Realm. If the 2 deputy heads of the Law Enforcement Hall are 2 executioners, then Wu Zuo is the Yama who judges sentient beings. Not to mention how horrible the other party is, just why Wu Zhe would look for him, this is a very delicate question. But Wu Zhe didn't give Na Yuan a chance to speak at all. For Wu Zhe, the other party was a small person. If Jian Wushuang wanted to protect him, he would be lazy to find an indigenous emperor to explain. Everything I say next, you must listen clearly, don't ask, don't have any doubts, you just need to do what I say. Wu Zhe's tone is very domineering. Na Yuan didn't want to take this set, and immediately replied, Don't say you are Wu Zhe, you are the palace lord of the Yuan Laro Palace, no matter right or wrong, it is no different from the magic way, don't talk about it, I have everything won't agree. When these words were said, it was Wu Zhe's turn to be surprised. When did an indigenous emperor dare to talk to him like this? Don't you be afraid. He is Wu Zhe, the hall master of the law enforcement hall, a disciple of the gods, the pinnacle of existence, and the three major palace masters are not his opponents. Had it not been for the fact that the Senate Palace was a true spirit's personal power, he would have beaten the three palace masters in turn. It was just 3 slaves who had been looted and built the Temple of Chishan. How could they have the right to sit on an equal footing with him, let alone, now that he is not qualified to sit on an equal footing, this is the most hateful. If he had the temper in the past, he would not bother to enter the Senate Palace, but now because of the appearance of the true spirit, he has deprived him of his discipleship. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the same relationship with those in the Senate Palace. Now he was scolded by an indigenous emperor, and he still didn't know how to answer the other party. This is the most aggrieved. Had it not been for Jian Wushuang's face, he would have pinched Na Yuan to death. For the sake of big plans, for the sake of the overall situation. Can only bear it. Listen, Na Yuan, the next thing is related to your daughter. Wu Zhe's voice sank. Then he concealed part of the plan slightly and told Na Yuan. Particular mention is made of Gong Miaoyi. Na Yuan was completely stunned, his daughter is still alive. And it's in this mine. Daughter. There was a hint of warmth from the bottom of my lonely heart. His daughter is still alive, but her mother has fallen, but Wu Zhe also promised him that as long as he cooperates, not only can he get out from here, but he can also go directly to the Tomb Mountain and resurrect his Taoist companion. Chapter 55-47. The previously slim chance of hope is now in sight. How could Na Yuan let it go, and immediately agreed. At this time, Jian Wushuang followed Fengcheng Master and others towards the place where the ore was originally mined. This time, we will take 10 years as a time limit. We will take a break every 10 years. We will be free after a short period of time. The Wind City Lord chuckled and the group was very motivated. Jian Wushuang blended into it, and he was also looking forward to it. But Gong Miaoyi was a little uneasy. When looking at Jian Wushuang, his eyes also changed. It's just that Jian Wushuang's mind doesn't know Gong Miaoyi's body now, and he hasn't found it. After going to the mine, a few people started mining silently. Gong Miaoyi found a remote corner to mine alone. Mining the magic weapon, within a month, a small hole can be made in the rock wall. Gong Miaoyi buried the soul flag in it. Only in this mine, there is only one location designated by the gods. For the remaining locations, you need to go to other places. In order to prevent outsiders from doubting, Gong Miaoyi said to Jian Wushuang, "I'll go and see elsewhere, you don't have to worry about me." Jian Wushuang knew what she was thinking about, she must be worried about Na Yuan, and didn't doubt it, just nodded to remind the other party to be careful. Gong Miaoyi was disdainful in his heart. Jian Wushuang's concern now seemed disgusting to her. Without a trace of true feelings, everything is calculated. Mouthful of benevolence, justice and morality, full of wickedness in the belly. After Gong Miaoyi left, Jian Wushuang received Wu Zhe's transmission again, and Na Yuan had already arranged it. The drama of father and daughter recognizing each other is about to be staged. But in advance, Wu Zhe had arranged for Na Yuan to arrange a large formation, and it would not be easy for the people in the law enforcement hall to win them. I hope that the gods will end in the hands of the match, otherwise the plan will be ruined this time. They only have a quarter of an hour. There are only 3 sixth-order emperors here. They are all native emperors, with average strength, he can deal with it alone, as long as there is a 6th order peak emperor from the outside world, and he is also the veteran of the Senate Palace. This one will be there within 3 breaths. As for the law bodies of the 3 palace masters, it is the palace master Lu Hua who sits here. Although Jian Wushuang is already wanted on the face of it, he will not be too ruthless, and it will definitely be delayed for a while. Moreover, this matter is being handled by the enforcement hall. As long as it does not threaten the mine, it should not take action. It's the people from the law enforcement hall who will arrive in a quarter of an hour. Everything is within this quarter of an hour. If the gods are really unprepared for anything, then they can only recognize it and work for nothing. Jian Wushuang was mining ore on one side, while the deity came out of his body on the other. With a trace of thought power, he began to find the location of Nai Yuan. The war is about to start. Nai Yuan is already looking for Gong Miaoyi now. That is a faint transformation of the soul. Another soul flag was injected into the mountain. Only the last one is left. Gong Miaoyi held his breath, not daring to stop. Even she did not hesitate to use the origin of the 5th order peak to forcibly mine, and she was able to mine a small hole in an instant. Then put the flag in it. Another place. Gong Miaoyi followed the guide and looked for. She didn't know that, with a trace of thought power, passing by her. At this time, Gong Miaoyi was desperate and seemed very panicked. The deity of Jian Wushuang in the power of mind saw Gong Miaoyi's heart sinking. Although he didn't know what happened, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Forget it, the real spirit is the best, she won't be able to turn over any waves if she doesn't come. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed a bit of fierceness, this time he was careless. Now that there is some discrepancy with the plan, Gong Miaoyi's strange behavior must be related to some people. It may be the law enforcement hall, or it may be the gods. It's hard to say. Jian Wushuang manipulated Nian Li and continued to move forward. He was going to find Nai Yuan. Take the other party to find Gong Miaoyi to recognize each other. This time, directly broke the jar. Here, sooner or later, people from the law enforcement hall will find out, and if they have not rescued Nai Yuan, the gods will be suspicious. He didn't know that the plan this time seemed to be seamless, but it was actually in the hands of the gods. Void, in a gap of silence and darkness. Click. A thunderstorm flashed by, illuminating the gap in the darkness, and light flashed by, and there were tens of thousands of people gathered here quietly. Each is an emperor. And he is also the strongest among emperors. They are all 5th order emperors. Thousands of 5th order emperors, the Yuan Laro Palace and the White Tiger Palace have such a large scale. These gods arranged for the strong here. Now, just waiting for Gong Miaoyi to arrange the formation, and then rushed into the mine in one fell swoop. If you fly in slowly from the periphery, I am afraid that you have not seen the mine yet, it will attract the top powerhouse of the Senate, and kill them in one fell swoop. This time, the gods gathered all the members of the Celestial Shadow Sect, and there were 5 strongest members alone. There are dozens of people in the 6th order peak emperor. There are also hundreds of emperors at the top level of tier 6. This force can sweep anywhere except the temple and the palace of the elders. The mine is no exception. Even if Lu Hua's deity came in person, he couldn't hold it. Lightning flashed, these people's faces were very pale, they had just accepted a special inheritance. Soul Road secret method. Soul where? An ancient buzzing sound rang, these people seemed to have received orders, and they took the initiative to dissolve their physical and divine bodies. Go, grab Jian Wushuang, all the others will be killed, not one left. Yes, mine. Jian Wushuang spared a large circle, and finally saw Nai Yuan, and then he didn't pretend to be, and directly transformed into the appearance of the deity. Nai Yuan. Hearing his name, Nai Yuan was stunned, because the voice calling his name was familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere, then he turned his head to look. Jian Wushuang. When he saw Jian Wushuang, he was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the inheritor Wu Zuo was talking about was Jian Wushuang, who had had several connections with him. Jian Wushuang was just a daoist at the beginning, and his strength was at best comparable to the 2nd-tier peak emperor. Looking at the breath now, it is stronger than him. Inheritor, Ukanshu. Com is really extraordinary. Nai Yuan was shocked. Come with me. Jian Wushuang didn't talk nonsense, he treated each other directly and frankly. I'm afraid that someone will find out after a while. The people guarding this place have not yet discovered it. He still has a chance to breathe. Nai Yuan followed behind him, and the two of them did not retain any reservations, and they moved forward at full speed, their figures resembling electric lights. Those who passed by looked at them in surprise. Where is my daughter? Nai Yuan couldn't help being excited. Jian Wushuang didn't turn his head and whispered, her position is a bit off, but you can see it right away. By the way, I forgot to tell you that her name is Gong Miaoui. Gong Miaoui, Miaoui. Nai Yuan's eyes flushed, and he was about to see his daughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-48. Just as the two were walking towards the location where Gong Miaoui was, a huge soul power quietly descended. This power sword Wushuang is very familiar with it. It is the inheritance of the soul Dao among the three kings. He had walked through the soul ladder at the beginning, and was familiar with this breath, but why did this breath appear here? Jian Wushuang was very surprised. Shouldn't this breath fall into the turbulence of time and space along with the three kings' court? How could it appear here? Too weird. Powerful souls began to descend one after another, and the power of the soul road became extremely strong. Jian Wushuang and Nai Yuan also stopped. Because a powerful soul appeared in front of them. The soul of the head of the beast, in front of the two of them, began to transform, and on the illusory soul, divine power began to appear. That power was the power of the space firestone. These souls are actually swallowing the power of the space Huamingshan to supplement their own divine and physical bodies. Jian Wushuang was shocked. After that, in a panic, he transmitted a voice to Wu Zhe. It's a god, he did it. Wu Zhe said excitedly. But Jian Wushuang was not so excited. Because that soul body is staring at him. It seems that I still have to do something to him. Jian Wushuang immediately drew out the Jueyun sword. Then a hand was placed on Nai Yuan, and a majestic life force was injected into Nai Yuan's body, instantly returning Nai Yuan to his peak state. Jian Wushuang reminded, take these things, you will need them later. Then he took out a mustard seed and handed it to Nai Yuan. There were some treasures in it, a complete set of eternal treasures. He was afraid that Nai Yuan would fall, and these treasures could also defend himself. These soul bodies are not simple. And there are people from the law enforcement hall who will do it. At that time, the situation is very chaotic. If you are not careful, the 6th Order Emperor may fall, let alone Nai Yuan, a 5th Order Peak Emperor. Let's find Miaoui first. Nai Yuan said anxiously after seeing the change. He was worried about Gong Miaoi's safety. Hearing what Wu Zhe meant, there would be a big battle here. Now that he found his daughter, he wouldn't let her suffer any more harm. The mother who didn't protect her at the beginning, today said that she must keep her daughter safe. Jian Wushuang nodded and was about to move on, but the soul body that had not recovered its strength blocked their way. I found Jian Wushuang, after regaining his strength, Su. Before the other party's words were finished, Jian Wushuang's soul body was cut with a single sword. The strength of these soul bodies is very fragile. Depending on the strength of the soul, the opponent is at least at the level of a 6th Order Emperor, but he can't stop him with a sword. At this time, he has the fighting power of a 5th Order Emperor at most. And there is no defense. Go. Jian Wushuang took Nai Yuan and quickly left, rushing in Gong Miaoi's direction. The methods of the gods are too mysterious. These soul bodies came in an instant. Not only Jian Wushuang, but Wu Zhe was a little surprised. But this also happened to be in their arms. The powerhouse of the law enforcement hall was originally planning to look for Jian Wushuang, but when he ran into the powerhouse of Shadowzong, he just diverted his attention. The strongest man sitting here, Emperor Lu Hua, one of the 3 masters of the Senate Palace, had already descended in an instant, and the formation of the space Huamingshan had also begun to descend. If it is purely for Jian Wushuang, this is not necessary. But the current situation has exceeded their imagination. Those soul bodies recovered to their peak in less than 3 breaths of time, and tens of thousands of 5th Order Emperors slaughtered wantonly. However, they also have a division of labor. One Zhu Dian is responsible for resisting Emperor Lu Hua, and another Zhu Dian is going to set up a certain formation and pave the way. The final goal of the best is Jian Wushuang. I found him, follow me. The supremely strong man ordered to go down, and several sixth-order emperors gathered in an instant. The guard in the mine couldn't stop it at all. There are only 3 sixth-order emperors who can only be forced to defend. They did not expect that someone would dare to attack the mine one day, and so many powerful men would come in an instant. The strong guards from the outside and the reinforcements of the law enforcement hall are on their way to attack, and it will take some time to reach this place. Emperor Lu Hua's law body was still blocked by the supremely strong man, and he couldn't take it out at all. You messy ministers and thieves. Emperor Lu Hua was furious. The mine cave that was originally extremely hard had already begun to collapse at this time. His Dharma body will not last long. At this time, the deity is at the headquarters of Yuanyang Old Palace, convening to start. Yuanyang Lake, the base camp of the Yuan Laro Palace, is not only the elders, but a large number of inheritors, as well as the top powerhouses among the indigenous emperors, have received orders, but it is a task for the inheritors. In just one breath, 100,000 troops were mobilized. But it is obviously impossible to send so many people in the past at once, and it can only be sent in batches. It takes time. Emperor Lu Hua could only send his deity first to stabilize the situation. In an instant, the battle rose to the top level in an instant. Emperor Lu Hua's deity shot himself. The entire mine is shaking. But one person is hard to beat with 4 hands, and tens of thousands of emperors and powerful people have long messed up the entire mine. Jian Wushuang took Nai Yuan and struggled to find Gong Miaoi's whereabouts in the chaotic battlefield. The outside world is constantly pouring into the strong, and the battle is very chaotic. The strong on the side of the gods will almost kill everyone without hesitation. Both sides are now looking for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang and Nai Yuan also had a hard time walking, but fortunately, most of them were the 5th-order emperors, so they were easier to deal with. Don't fight with them, find Miaoi first. Nai Yuan roared, bursting out a battle power comparable to that of a 6th-order emperor. His kendo is different from Jian Wushuang's ultimate kendo. It cuts out with a single sword, as if the opponent can't resist at all, or he doesn't know how to stop it. Those 5th-order emperors, as long as they received Nai Yuan's sword shadow, their bodies began to be distorted, and the whole person turned into paper, from the 3-dimensional walk, into a thin piece of paper. Essence leaked from Jian was eyes, and the power of this kendo was very similar to the ultimate way in Gong Miaoi's body. In other words, it is the epitome of Nai Yuan's kendo. This time, he really didn't come in vain. After this crisis, he must study Nai Yuan's origin, which is of great help to his ultimate swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang casually killed several 5th-order emperors who were blocking the way, pulling Nai Yuan aside, and then leaving the core. The 2 of them turned 7 and 8, and entered a series of narrow caves. There are also some emperors who mine ore. These people are very weak. Most of them are 4th-order emperors. Going out is a dead end, as long as a 5th-order the emperor can sweep them all, so hiding here is afraid to go out. Jian Wushuang felt Gong Miaoi's breath, and he was nearby, without any hesitation, and rushed forward with Nai Yuan. Chapter 55-49. At this moment, a weird emperor attached to the stone wall opened his eyes and said with a hoarse voice, Jian Wushuang is here with me, come here soon. The reason these people came here was for Jian Wushuang. Killing these people was just to create chaos. After everyone received the news, they all gathered here, and soon 5 6th-order emperors had arrived. Jian Wushuang, Gong Miaoi. As soon as the 3 of them met, they were already besieged in the mine. Fortunately, there was only one exit that could only allow one person to enter. They were just blocked. Nai Yuan stared at Gong Miaoi, staring intently. The 10,000 words that had already been organized in his heart came to his mouth, but he didn't know how to say it. Until Gong Miaoi took the lead and said softly, Father. Father and daughter embrace each other, everything goes without saying. Jian Wushuang took a look, and wittily blocked the gap, temporarily blocking the opponent's attack. At the same time, the sound transmission is black. Fiago hasn't appeared yet. If you rely on these people alone, it is actually very easy to catch him, but this is a mine. There are countless strong men gathered, and the strong men from the Senate Palace are coming in large numbers. Even if he is caught, he may not be able to retreat. Wu Zue was also very anxious, and the transmission replied, I haven't found it yet. Their goal is Fiago, not these ordinary emperors at all. Even if they seize the 3 absolute tops, they will not have much impact. Jian Wushuang, otherwise you pretend to surrender and go with these people first. I think that Fiago has no plans to come. It's better to go further. Maybe you can see Fiago then. Don't worry, as long as Fiago appears, Lord True Spirit will definitely end in person, and no one can threaten you by then. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Isn't this really nonsense? Let him go one step further, it would really be overwhelming. Moreover, he didn't dare to believe all the true spirits. If the true spirits were so capable, how could he not find a disabled cosmic master in his lair? But now, he had no choice but to do as Wu Zue said. Brother Wu Zue, don't make jokes at this time. Once I go with them, if Master True Spirit can't arrive at that time, you will be fully responsible for all of this. Jian Wushuang said ugly things before and gave Wu pressure is applied to the left. This is also for myself. Wu Zue gritted his teeth and then agreed. This time, the two of them not only bet on their future, but also their lives. Jian Wushuang was okay, the gods caught him, and they used it at best, and there would be no life threatening. Wu Zue was different. Once the plan failed, the true spirit could not spare him. At that time, maybe he will go to the second prison to suffer. Boom. While talking with Wu Zue, Jian Wushuang's powerful force penetrated directly through his chest, and that force directly hit his divine body through the candle dragon's inner armor. The 50,000 times divine body burst instantly. The origins are trembling, the opponent's strength is definitely the highest existence among the 6th Order Emperors. I am afraid that it is not weaker than the Turtle Spirit Island Master of the Earth. This time Jian Wushuang did not destroy the origin. With just one blow, the whole person was bombarded, and he was directly bombarded on the stone wall. Nai Yuan also knew at this time that when he was not in love with his father and daughter, he stood in front of Gong Miaoi at the moment. This made Jian Wushuang very embarrassed. Although there was a conspiracy behind him, at least it was to save the father and daughter. Can you give me some face? Even if the strength is invincible, at least behave. Everyone, I will go with you. Jian Wushuang got out of the stone wall with difficulty, his body was extremely weak, and he was already seriously injured. I saw a scarlet figure at the entrance of the cave, and the whole person was bathed in flames. The breath on his body was extremely terrifying. This person is the ultimate. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank. I thought it was a 6th Order Emperor, but he didn't expect to be an absolute powerhouse. It is estimated that this outstanding person was afraid of killing him in one blow, suppressing his strength when he started. Everyone gathered at the designated place. I have taken Jian Wushuang, call. Jian Wushuang clutched his chest, panting heavily, then turned his head to look at Gong Miaoi and Nai Yuan, and said, surrender, we are not opponent. Nai Yuan didn't have any comments on this, because he knew the plan. But Gong Miaoi is different. At this time she took the initiative to step forward, bow down respectfully, and firmly said, Junior Gong Miaoi, Lord God once promised. But the words hadn't been finished yet, the supremely powerful man made a move instantly, and a flame instantly rushed to Gong Miaoi's side. The power of the flame was enough to incinerate the world, extremely terrifying. Even the space fire stone is melting. Nai Yuan reacted extremely quickly, and instantly stood in front of Gong Miaoi, blocking the flame. When Gong Miaoi just stood up, he was surprised. This matter is getting more and more complicated. Jian Wushuang's face also sank. He didn't want to believe it at first, but now that the facts are in front of him, he has to believe it. Gong Miaoi betrayed. Although he was using the other party, he really wanted to save Nai Yuan. Even if he was taken away, he would also beg the other party to let them go, even if he was taken away by the people from the Yuan Palace. Wu Zue, who knows the plan, will not embarrass the father and daughter. Why bother? Jian Wushuang looked on indifferently, without saying a word. He knows the true spirit too well, and will never stay after using Gong Miaowi. At the beginning, the White King had recovered to the peak, not to mention that he died after he died. Not to mention a Gong Miaowi, if you catch him, Gong Miaowi has no use value. The supreme powerhouse bathed in flames, without any expression, said coldly, "My Lord God, I didn't tell me to take you away, so you are going to die." The gods only told them to take Jian Wushuang away, kill those who saw it, and destroy Gong Miaowi. This is a disaster and cannot be left behind. If Jian Wushuang is really emotional, I am afraid he will not kill Gong Miaowi, and he can keep Gong Miaowi at that time to threaten Jian Wushuang. But Jian Wushuang and Gong Miaowi used each other. So there is no need to keep it. The absolute strong, shot directly without any hesitation. A fiery snake, like lightning, is extremely fast. Gong Miaowi and Nai Yuan are both Tier 5 emperors. Even if they can exert the power of Tier 6 emperors, they can't resist them. Dui Jian Wushuang can stay behind, it is completely unnecessary for these two. Jian Wushuang was aside, still a little unbearable, a sword flew out of his hand, and directly stopped the fire snake. "Give me a way to survive," Jian Wushuang said. "This matter has nothing to do with her, I will go with you." Absolutely strong, very surprised, Mingming Palace Miaowi betrayed Jian Wushuang, and actually even interceded for the other side. She must die. If the didn't order, he could give Jian Wushuang a face, but the named Dao said that if he wanted to kill Gong Miaowi, he would never keep his hands. Chapter 5550. The other party was very firm. Jian Wushuang looked at Gong Miaowi and said calmly, "Time is also destiny." Gong Miaowi was very crazy, staring at Jian Wushuang, and said angrily, "Jian Wushuang, you don't pretend to be a good person here, you are a complete demon, you will be careful in your calculations, and you will never become an emperor." These words were shouted from the bottom of her heart, extremely vicious. Never become an emperor. Jian Wushuang's expression also sank. He longed for the emperor, and yearned for the road in the future. He dared to curse that he would never become an emperor in his life. If he were someone else, he would have died 10,000 times. Trying to suppress his anger, Jian Wushuang closed his eyes. Destroy it. No one stopped this time. The fiery snake first passed through Nai Yuan, and instantly incinerated Nai Yuan's body, leaving only the divine body and origin. "No!" Gong Miaowi shouted heartbreakingly. Obviously just met. Although Nai Yuan didn't know what happened to Gong Miaowi and Jian Wushuang, he probably guessed that his daughter was taken advantage of. This time, he waited for a long time. Perhaps, he should have died long ago. Died in front of the Taoist couple. Shouldn't be struggling here. This time, it was worth dying for my daughter. Nai Yuan slowly turned around. Both the divine body and the source were constantly shattering. He stared at Gong Miaowi calmly, and said calmly, "Miaowi, live well, no one can hurt you, no." A huge force erupted from Nai Yuan's body, and the divine body and origin that had been about to be incinerated once again recovered. The divine body has also become golden, and the whole person has turned into a form of law. The tenderness was also lost in his eyes, but with a majesty that overlooked the world. "My kendo from the starry sky, today, with a force of soldiers to dispel the enemy, I beg seniors to give me a sword to break the enemy." Nai Yuan kowtowed with both hands, a golden light broke through time and space, coming from the end of time. This time, the entire Chishan temple was trembling. Starry sky? Jian Wushuang was shocked. There are people who know the starry sky. He didn't expect that Nai Yuan, an indigenous emperor, could actually touch the starry sky. How can that be? Moreover, he said he would break the enemy with a sword. Gong Miaowi didn't have any shock, only eyes full of dismay. That Zhu Jian was very surprised, and found that the other party was not right, so he wanted to do it, but the next moment, the entire Chishan temple was trembling. That golden light descended instantly. Nai Yuan held a golden sword in his hand that exuded the combination of time and space, and the fierce energy in his eyes reached the peak. "Only you, I still want to kill my daughter." The golden face, shouted angrily, cut out with a sword, and the mine instantly turned into two pieces. The huge space Huamingshan was split into two pieces. A huge crack appeared instantly, and a ray of light shone in. Outside, it's daytime at this time. Jian Wushuang was taken aback, slowly raising his head to look at the sky. The supremely strong man has quietly fallen. At this time, the flame went out, and the strongest man also leaked his original appearance, and the shock in his eyes was beyond words. Fallen. The golden statue was also under this sword, and began to collapse, turning into a stone statue. Nai Yuan looked at Gong Miaoi for the last time. There was no sharpness in his eyes, only warmth. In fact, there is also a lot of resentment, but he dare not show it. He is afraid that his daughter will be sad because of his fall. Father. Gong Miaoi. 2 lines of tears fell, and rushed forward desperately. Before Nai Yuan's origin had disappeared, he desperately grasped with his hands, trying to keep his father. Now she regrets that she killed her father. If she hadn't listened to the words of the gods would not kill her. All this is to blame her. Jian Wushuang, who was stunned, realized that Nai Yuan's origin hadn't completely disappeared. He shot it instantly, and the vitality in his body burst out, instantly returning to its peak. In the depths of one hand, the power of swallowing exploded in an instant, and a huge amount of life force descended, wrapping Nai Yuan's origin in it, and delaying the crushing of the opponent. Then the force of devouring urged and began to swallow. He had longed for Nai Yuan's origin a long time ago. How could he let it go before his eyes? And after seeing the opponent's sword, he was completely obsessed. The power of that sword is probably beyond the power of the emperor. One sword killed the supreme powerhouse and was able to split the space Huamingshan. This force might have reached the level of the Lord of the Universe. Kai. Gong Miaoi turned his head and looked at Jian Wushuang, who was actually devouring her father's origin, full of resentment, and wanted to fight Jian Wushuang desperately. But where is she, Jian Wushuang's opponent? Humph. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, and the claws of the candle dragon directly grabbed Gong Miaoi's neck and shouted angrily, "If it weren't for you, Nai Yuan wouldn't die, do you understand?" He almost broke his plan. He must get the origin of Nai Yuan. If Nai Yuan is alive, he will also learn from it. Now that it has fallen, he can't watch it disappear. Starry sky. Jian Wushuang sighed from the bottom of his heart. Don't know, is he counted as a line of stars? Originally, he thought he was the only one who had entered the starry sky, but he did not expect that Nai Yuan's kendo origins were also obtained from the starry sky. The starry sky has a great influence on him. He has mastered the ultimate way in the starry sky, but Nai Yuan seems to have mastered the sword way. Starry sky. Now he has a doubt in his heart. Even the natives in the temple of Chishan have been to the starry sky, so is there anyone who has been to the starry sky, and how did they go? Huiqing. Jian Wushuang first thought of one person. Huiqing once stepped into Taoism. He always suspected. Later, when he learned that Huiqing was a reincarnated person, he didn't think much about it. But now, for his moment, I am afraid that Huiqing also entered the starry sky with his consciousness at that time. After countless years of reincarnation, it has such a powerful strength. If you simply enter the Tao in one step, your personality will not change that much. Even if it is because of the memory of previous lives, it will not be so outrageous. Although Huiqing in the previous life was also the ultimate one, but the potential was average. For now, it can be said that the potential is average. The current Huiqing, compared to the previous life, even compared to the entire primitive universe, is the first-class Qianjiao. It has only been a long time now that he has already entered the sixth-order emperor. The old guys who have surpassed countless epochs of cultivation are almost catching up with Shong. This potential against the sky is not only due to the past life, maybe it is related to the starry sky. Nai Yuan is the same. It can be deduced from Nai Yuan that he is a native emperor who has not been cultivated for an epoch, but he can reach the point he is today. If there is no inheritor, I am afraid that Nai Yuan's potential is definitely a top-notch talent in the four secret realms. The fifth-order peak emperor, comparable to the sixth-order emperor's combat power, was born in less than an era. Starry sky. Jian Wushuang has a yearning. The temple of Chishan is a substantial help, but the birth of the starry sky is a yearning for the future, where is the cradle of the strong? Chapter 55-51. What primitive universe, the long river of time and space, there is not even a master of the universe, it is not the place for them to improve their strength. If the Temple of Chishan hadn't appeared, they would not have reached the time and space of Maruor in the ancient times in the long river of time, not even hundreds of millions of epochs. Even if it reaches the level of Moruo's time and space, I am afraid it will fall due to strength. Universe, time and space, starry sky. Jian Wushuang yearned for the stars even more. Because of the long river of time and space, his impression was just like that. Although I saw many long rivers of time and space in the starry sky, some rivers of time and space are very powerful. They are the lifeblood of the starry sky, but they are also lines after all. The starry sky is the real carrier. Compared with these, what for ego, what arrogance, what plan is not important. Jian Wushuang cautiously put Nai Yuan's origin into his body, only to breathe a sigh of relief. The biggest receipt this time is not to attract the gods, but to the information about the starry sky. It's a pity that he couldn't find out any news about the starry sky from Nai Yuan's origin, but from the origin road, he could feel a strong sword intent. Unlike his ultimate kendo, Nai Yuan's kendo is more perfect. Maybe it's because Nai Yuan also reached the kendo consummation and he joined together, maybe because the opponent's kendo came from the stars. Jian Wushuang believed that it was from the stars, and he was still very confident in his kendo. Just relying on guarding against the sky cannot compare with his kendo. At the 8th level of the ultimate kendo, none of the ultimate princes can match him. This is strength. Also emboldened. His ultimate kendo, every step is a huge opportunity. It's just one step away now. As long as he reaches consummation, he can be in harmony. Once he becomes the emperor, his strength can be quickly improved, and then it will directly rival the top, and even be able to reach the top in a short period of time. Regarding the pinnacle of life force, he has been initially perfected, and he has reached the Hinayana realm. After the kendo is completed, combined with kendo, you can reach the Mahayana realm by creating again. After breaking through, you can directly fight on the secret method. As for the path of space and realm, it is too slow. Before the emperor, he could reach the realm of the black hole, even if it was good. After becoming the emperor, he would be able to improve some perceptions of space, and he didn't improve the realm of space too much. It's impossible to reach the peak by relying on the realm. The evolution of space into the universe is half a step into the master of the universe. At present, the only person who reached the absolute peak of the secret method and realm at the same time was Shang. With so many inheritors, only one has reached this level. In addition to the inheritors, Wuzhua is also at this level. As for those puppet hall masters, I don't know. Jian Wushuang left Gong Miaoyi aside and ignored it. Whether she could survive this time, it was all good luck. Now he wants to take the initiative to go out. The strong from the Senate kept coming, and the people arranged by the gods soon ended. Now he has to beg these people to take him away. Since the gods have arranged in this way, there must be a way out. Outside the cave, a group of emperors surrounded Jian Wushuang, not daring to step forward, because the supreme powerhouse who had just entered had fallen, and the Huoming mountain in the space was split in half. No one knows how powerful Jian Wushuang is. Don't be afraid, we are our own. Jian Wushuang took out a token, and the emperors breathed a sigh of relief when they saw it. This token was actually fake. Originally, he also had a real token, but it was a pity that it was destroyed when he fell into the second prison. But it's enough to take out and fool this person. They are here to look for him. Even if they don't have a token, they will take him away. Jian Wushuang, you'd better not play tricks. The 6th Order Peak Emperor who took the lead stared at Jian Wushuang cautiously. Obviously these people were frightened by the sword just now. Not only these people, but everyone present was frightened. Even Wuzhua kept sending him a voice message asking what happened when he arrived, and he was able to split the space Huoming Shan into two. The true spirit in the Sea of Origin stared at the Mung Bean Eye, holding a string of light green bracelets in his hand, and constantly moved. That power comes from the starry sky. The true spirit was extremely shocked. He originally thought that there would be a generation of anti-heaven among the inheritors related to the starry sky. Now it seems that the Chishan temple is not safe. This made his determination to run even stronger. Once Fuego is eliminated, he will speed up the growth of the inheritors, forcibly create a lord of the universe, solve the god, understand the cause and effect, and then take the temple of Chishan to other time and space. Although this time and space has not yet grown, there are too many hidden secrets to stay for long. There were already 2 visitors from the starry sky. Jian Wushuang is one, and Nai Yuan is also the same, and both are practicing swordsmanship. This reminded him of the once Emperor Jueyun. Will there be some kind of connection among them, or it would be a coincidence that they are all kendo practitioners? And they are all against the sky. Jian Wushuang didn't talk about it with the great Emperor Jueyun. One represented the peak of the Taoist and the other represented the peak of the Emperor. Nai Yuan is something that has something to do with the starry sky. When others look at Nai Yuan, I am afraid they will be a little surprised. An aboriginal emperor can be so strong and has good potential. But from Genling's point of view, Nai Yuan's strength and potential were average, and only the last sword made him a little uneasy. He clearly saw that sword, coming from the end of time, cutting through time and space, and descending into the temple of Chishan. Chishan temple is the treasure of time and space. It can't be isolated, like a thatched house. The golden light will come in as soon as it comes in. The power he couldn't resist. The last time I was looking at Jian Wushuang's timeline, I was stared at by Xing Kong's big eyes, but this time it was the golden sword that came from Nai Yuan's summons. There are more and more things that can endanger him, and he feels exhausted. In the human world, Hua Qing is also threatened. What he values most is actually Hua Qing, but in the end it is to raise a tiger. Later I looked at Epi Wushuang, turned out to be a 25 boy. He betrayed him for a while, and then because everything was under control, he ignored it. It was an understanding. But because of the starry sky, Jian Wushuang was kicked out of the successor list. Few people can be seen now, and they are all wandering around the Taoist monarch. They are not the same as Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang is about to get together, and those people still have some way to go from getting together. Among the first group of inheritors, the ultimate existence of the light path is like this. The original path has been completed, but the realm and the power of the soul are much different. The true spirit received the 3 kings' court, analyzed all the soul and path inheritors in it, and dedicated it to the other party for enlightenment, but that was not enough. Each has its flaws. There is no truly perfect inheritor who can free him from any pressure. Chapter 55-52. Visitors from the stars are naturally very good and strong, just like Jian Wushuang. But the details are not clean. He is also afraid. Fearing that Zhuanyi's prediction came true, Kishendian made wedding dresses for others. Everything about Chishan must be erased from the timeline. How unwilling this is. The true spirit is also a part of the gods, and the temple of the gods is his. Tired. The plan is perfect, it can be implemented, but it is extremely difficult. Everyone is fighting, even the real spirit is no exception. Jian Wushuang is now playing with his own life again. Never considered that the gods would kill him. Following those emperors, he went directly into a hidden space. How many people haven't arrived? Asked the supreme powerhouse who had previously fought with Emperor Lu Hua. Elder Shadow 2 has fallen, and now Kui is still in the mine to break the restriction. Once the restriction is broken, we can leave instantly. Ying Yi turned his head and glanced at Jian Wushuang, very satisfied. This time it went well. They dare to come here, but they didn't want to leave alive. Don't wait, go directly to Kuei Yi, and go straight away as soon as the prohibition is broken. Lu Hua's strength is too strong and will soon be able to sweep us. Ying Yi's eyes have a trace of worry. The strength of Emperor Lu Hua is indeed well deserved. That's the absolute pinnacle of bringing the realm of space to the level of the universe. Once the secret method Mahayana had the strength of those gods under the command of the Chishan. This time, several gods did not come, and these people were lucky. If the magic sound gods or the monarch in the cloud came, they would be wiped out in an instant. Those are the ultimate emperors, and they are the ultimate emperors who have elevated the space to the level of the universe, and each has its own peak secret method. And they are all secret Mahayana God generals, each of them can be compared to the master of the half-step universe. Otherwise, the true spirit won't let the magic sound general and Yun Zhongjuan go to sit in the old palace. The space hidden in the dark seems to be completely divided from this place, and people from outside can't get in at all, even Emperor Lu Hua can't find it. Outside world. Emperor Lu Hua frowned and swept away those mysterious emperors. The mysterious jewel who had just fought with him had disappeared, although he couldn't find it no matter how he looked for it. Then mobilized the formation and found that Jian Wushuang had also disappeared. Jian Wushuang, all this is best to be fake, otherwise you will be miserable. Emperor Lu Hua began to regret it. Release Jian Wushuang, but it still has something to do with him. That is indispensable. At that time, it's not that the palace lord's position can't be kept, I'm afraid that he will lose his life. Thinking back to the words he had said to Wu Zuanao, he had no face to look back, and he could only walk to the end one by one. The entrance of the universe. The prohibition is being worn away. The ban is here, even the most powerful ones can't break it. If you want to break it, you need special means, and the gods have long been prepared. It is almost impossible to rely on a few absolute tops alone. When this prohibition was created, it was created by the top powerhouses in the defense. Even if the 18 gods gather together, it will not be broken. But the gods have a way. It was Kui who broke the ban. Territory Kaimen is the commander. His identity is extremely mysterious. Speaking of which, Jian Wushuang had fought each other before. At the border of Moluo Nation, I also felt the other side's methods. Kui, it is the elder Mo Luo. When it expanded wildly, it was for this day. Once he leaves, Mo Luo has no shelter and will die. Fortunately, he made all preparations, leaving behind a lot of backhands before leaving. Even if it fell this time, there was nothing to worry about. A series of imprints were punched out in his hand, forming a terrifying catalogue, which was bloody. It was a totem. The gods told him that once the totem is turned on, everything can be broken. Because this is the totem of the giant clan. Giants. The gods are just ordinary members of the giant clan. Fuego and the dome in the origin of everything are both giants. One of the strongest races in the sky. When it was born, it was the highest existence in the universe, and the Mahayana period was able to rule a long river of time and space. In the starry sky, there are just over 100 long rivers of time and space, and there are dozens of powerhouses among the giant gods, and more than half can control a long river of time and space. What a powerful force this is. When the Chishan was at its peak, but only controlled a long river of time and space, and then fell. The giant clan controls dozens of them. Otherwise, one Fuego alone would not be able to destroy the three kings. The various characters that flashed on the totem, each super powerhouse of the giant tribe, the prohibition began to break at this moment. A shout from the starry sky came instantly. It's the starry sky again. Fortunately, it was just a sound, but its power was no weaker than that sword. That sword is pure killing, killing all living beings. This roar was a roar containing all things, directly shattering the prohibition. Prohibition of breaking. Kuei was very excited, and quickly transmitted a voice to Ying Yi. Space is here. Go. Everything went smoothly unexpectedly. Less than a quarter of an hour later, he took down Jian Wushuang, broke the ban, and fled. Light began to glow in the mysterious space. It was a teleportation array. Jian Wushuang stood among these people, looking surprised. The power contained in this teleportation formation was much stronger than the strongest teleportation formation he had seen in the White Tiger Palace. The strongest teleportation array in the temple is cross-border teleportation. But the power contained above is actually not as good as 1/10 of this teleportation array. Where is this to send him to? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Leave the temple of Chishan? When Lu Hua discovered that power, the teleportation array had been activated, and all the emperors in the mysterious space disappeared. At this time, just a quarter of an hour, the Deputy Hall Master Zhong and Wu Shan came. Seeing the devastated mine, and then looking at the lonely palace master Lu Hua, everything understood. Where is Jen Wushuang? Deputy Hall Master Zhong said anxiously. He always felt that this matter must have something to do with Jen Wushuang. Emperor Lu Hua didn't bother to talk to each other and left here directly. There is no need for him to clean up the mess. This time, the loss is actually not a big one. But the face is ashamed. Yu reading www.ukanshu.com. The space Hua Mingshan was split into 2 parts, and the prohibition was also broken. As for those who fell, it's nothing. This is just a Chenkuan mine, and there are still many mines on the mountain. It's the strong man in the Senate Palace. This time he has also fallen a lot. Although most of them are indigenous emperors, there are also some 6th-order emperors who have fallen. The inheritors came last, and only received the tail. Naturally there was no loss. Gong Miaoui. Deputy Hall Master Zhong stood at the place where Jen Wushuang and others had fought before, staring at Gong Miaoui on the ground. Jen Wushuang was running fast, not to mention, since Gong Miaoui was left behind, this time it was not a waste of work. Take her away and her to Yuanyang Lake's prison. I will try it myself. Chapter 55-53. Deputy Hall Master Zhong waved his sleeves, and several people behind him stepped forward to restrain Gong Miaoi's body, and then left with Deputy Hall Master Zhong. There is no announcement to the outside world. Deputy Hall Master Zhong has also asked Wu Zue, and found that Wu Zue suddenly loses his mind about this matter, and he also has doubts and guesses in his heart. But he should do nothing less. Wu Shan was different. He had already seen that something was wrong. After Jen Wushuang ran with mysterious Zhu Dian, he lost his heart and returned to the Xiao family. Everything fell into the ordinary. Only Wu Zue was waiting anxiously, and he found that Jen Wushuang could not be reached. The origin of the sea. Wu Zue paced back and forth, anxious in his heart. Zhenling gave him a big look and cursed, "What sway, my eyes are dazzled. My lord, I am incompetent." Wu Zue knelt down directly. He lost Jen Wushuang. It was agreed to save Jen Wushuang's life, but now he is gone again. It was the same last time, it was the northern border, and it was a familiar place. Zhenling shook his head and said calmly, thanks, can't get out of my palm." With gestures of his palm, Zhenling frowned. That faint breath is weakening. The bracelet that he played was almost crushed by him. Damn it. After feeling the place where the faint breath had stopped, Zhenling yelled angrily. It was true that he hadn't escaped from his palm, but Jen Wushuang's current position, he couldn't go, it was very special. The first prison. It was a one-way journey. At the same time, he also discovered Foyigo through Jen Wushuang. No wonder Foyigo has not been found, because he was afraid of death and went directly to the first prison. It is impossible for them to escape from the Temple of Chishan, and it is impossible for them to hide. That's only to enter the first prison. Wu Zue was taken aback by the real spirit, and the atmosphere didn't dare to make a sound. Go. Zhenling lifted the chessboard directly. Wu Zue quickly retired and left in a desperate manner. This time the plan seemed to be a complete failure. I don't know how many times I hit the palace lord and failed again. He also lost Jen Wushuang. This time he was completely unable to turn around. Even the many benefits of Jen Wushuang could not be converted by the true spirit. This time I lost the woman and lost the soldiers. Zhenling stood up. This time it was his turn to pace. The first prison is very strong, but it can't stand the peak of Foyigo. At that time, what should Foyigo do with the Frozer? Zhenling was completely panicked. I started to pray in my heart. I didn't believe this, but now I can only do this. I hope that Jen Wushuang will guard his heart and protect everyone from the individual. The first prison. Master Foyigo, right here, yes, that's it, take care of it, my life force is a bit violent. Jen Wushuang sat cross-legged in the void, directing a large number of emperors to arrange a formation. This formation, with him as the core, was specially restored by Foyigo. Through this formation, he is like a source of life, constantly able to restore Foyigo's strength, and also able to resolve the hidden wounds left by the gods. The gods turned into humanoid beasts, and what they saw from the side was stunned. He originally thought Jian Wushuang would use some tricks, but he didn't expect to cooperate like this. Not only did he propose a formation method, he also took the initiative to say how powerful the life force is, which can help him heal his hidden injuries. In this way, not only can Fuego be able to recover to the peak and reach the state of the Master of the Universe, but he can also return to the level of the Master of the Universe. However, he has been suppressed since his birth, and his strength is much worse than Fuego, and he has just entered the realm of the Master of the Universe. But it would be nice to be able to recover and escape. Having been suppressed for countless epochs, he tried his best to calculate step by step and lay out the 4 secret realms, waiting for this day. But it was also because of Jian Wushuang's special nature that it was able to go so smoothly. According to the original plan, Fuego was sent to the first prison to find an exit. But after a big turn, there was no exit at all. I was almost desperate at first. Only the Ephesial in the origin of everything is left. When the opponent is born, I don't know how long it will take. Even if it can break out of the shell perfectly, the strength will first enter the level of the Lord of the Universe, which is not enough to see. True Spirit has made several shots, he has observed, and he is definitely not an ordinary Master of the Universe. Now Jian Wushuang has given him a surprise. The force of life. That is the power of all things. The most perfect power evolved. With this strength, he can not only escape from the prison, but also restore the peak. Quickly, I can leave soon. God Frozer was very excited. Since his birth, he has not been free, and can only rely on his original inheritance to feel the glory of the outside world. Of course, it is not the long river of time and space here. It was the long river of time and space that multiplied to the peak in the starry sky, where was his home. Although they were all divided into a long river of time and space when they were born, not everyone can finally control a time and space. There are also those who can't go down, go to the strong people of the same clan. For example, Fuego was born much earlier than him. Not only did he not control a long river of time and space, but he also encountered a peerless strong man and was almost beheaded. Fortunately, the ability to escape for life is not weak, and relying on a strong fellow of the same clan with great strength can be considered a firm foothold. Compared with Fuego, he is still a bit more miserable. It's worse than him, and it's not nothing. The one in the origin of everything does not even have the ability to break out of the shell. I was relieved when I thought about it this way. The gathering of the 3 giants, which is rarely seen in the history of their clan. Most of the giant tribes are roaming or wandering outside, and the best ones are to control a time and space and become the overlord of the starry sky. There are few opportunities to meet with the same race. Just when the Frozer was thinking about the future, the array that was laid out began to exude tremendous power. Although that power is violent, no matter it is a practitioner or an ordinary person, as long as it is a life, it is very comfortable to feel that power, but all practitioners in the formation are very comfortable. I feel that my vitality is constantly rising. Success. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart. He himself didn't expect that he would succeed so soon. He had previously thought that it would fall to this point. Wu Zhuo has repeatedly assured him that as long as he finds the true spirit of Fuego, he will end up personally. What is the result? The real spirit did not wait, but the gods and Fuego went off in person. Although neither of the two's combat power has returned to the level of the Lord of the Universe, together, they are definitely the combat power of the Lord of the Universe. What he can do as a Daoist, he can only recognize the current affairs as the master, and take one step to see. Now that the formation is set up successfully, all that is left is to help Fuego recover his strength. This is also the easiest step, but for him, it is a bit uncomfortable. He needs to use countless vitality to nourish Fuego. Chapter 55-54. He has this power, but I wanted to use so much life force at once, even if I squeezed him dry, I couldn't squeeze it out. Jian Wushuang reminded a little embarrassingly, Master Shenling, this formation has been completed, look. Why, what's the problem? Fuego opened his eyes first and looked at Jian Wushuang. With this formation, it can maximize the transformation of life force into his body. This is the most perfect way. The smiled lightly, but it doesn't hurt to say it. Lord God, relying on this formation, it takes at least 3 epochs to recover from the injuries on the 2 of them. If you want to be faster, but I need the supplement of the power of all things. Jian Wushuang was very tactful. The treasures needed are said. 3 epochs, what he said still has some leeway. It really takes 3 epochs to maintain the strength of self-recovery to run the big formation. If you suffer a little, in fact, 2 epochs will be enough. But he didn't want to waste such a long time. I really have to wait for 2 epochs. I am afraid that there will be several cosmic masters in the Temple of Chishan. By that time, these 2 are really going out. I am afraid there will be a big battle, when he is not a human inside and outside. He can't just look at the present, he has to find a clear path for himself. If these 2 return to their peaks now, no one from the outside world can stop them. He didn't know the true spirit's strength. Even if it could be stopped, he would be evenly matched. At that time, he could still deal with the 2 sides. Don't let one party be too strong, otherwise he will be useless. A useless person will generally not end well. They seemed to be able to insight into his heart, and did not promise anything, but said, "How long will it take? As soon as possible, you give me an accurate time." 100,000 years. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth. This time it is the fastest. If there is a steady supply of all things power in his body, he will be able to help Fuego recover to his peak combat power in 100,000 years. As for the injury of the gods, he has already seen it, and he will be able to understand the other party in 10 years. Okay. They smiled with joy. Jian Wushuang didn't want to procrastinate, he didn't want to procrastinate. Naturally, the sooner the better. He has also been observing the inheritors in the Chishan temple. The strongest one already has half the power of the Lord of the Universe, so he doesn't dare to drag on. The Frozer threw a mustard seed to Jian Wushuang, and said, "These treasures are the treasures I have accumulated through searching countless epochs in the 4 secret realms. It should be enough. As for the extra, it's all yours. In countless epochs, there are countless treasures collected by the various forces of the Shadow Sect and the Kaimen." Jian Wushuang took the mustard seeds, pierced in with a trace of thought power, and felt it. Although he was quite knowledgeable, he was taken aback. The treasures in it have surpassed his imagination. Among them, there are not many particularly precious treasures. Most of them are the original treasures useful to the emperor, but when they are put together, the value can be great. These treasures are enough to cultivate countless emperors and powerful people, and can even feed the entire northern realm. It can be seen how valuable it is. These treasures are indeed enough. And more. Of course no one would think that he has too many treasures. It's just that the spirit of the gods is different from his vision. What the gods desire is freedom, and once they are truly liberated, these treasures will not even be counted as a hair. You can start. Fuego was already a little impatient, and he was even more eager to go out. Jian Wushuang was not talking nonsense either, nodded, while devouring countless treasures, while injecting massive life force into the big formation. 100,000 years, for them like the strong, it was just a blink of an eye. It's just a pity that Jian Wushuang couldn't be distracted from his cultivation in these 100,000 years. He didn't have time to comprehend Nai Yuan's inheritance. However, he is very close to the 9th level of ultimate swordsmanship. As long as he goes out for a little insight and creates a pinnacle, he will be able to step into the 9th level. Both Kendo and Jaido have a perfect posture. Hadao is imminent. Jian Wushuang took a long breath and said in his heart, "I hope everything goes well. For Fuego and others, all this is very fast, but for him, these 100,000 years have not been so easy. Of course, there is the true spirit of the outside world who is as anxious as him." 100 years after Jian Wushuang suddenly disappeared from the mysterious emperors. The gods personally went to the northern realm. At this time, the mine has been restored to its original condition. The guards outside the entrance of Chenkuan Cave are also much tighter than before. After the previous lesson, the Senate Palace had to pay attention to it. Although there is a high probability that no one will break in again, you still have to behave on the surface, otherwise you will be ridiculed by the people of the temple and in action. When the true spirit comes, No one notices it, as if the true spirit cannot be seen. The guards still stood in place, without knowing that there was a powerful existence just now, and walked in. Space. Zhenling gritted his teeth and frowned. The origin of his space has long reached the level of consummation, which is the cosmic space. At the beginning, the teleportation array was built in the cracks of space, and he saw the strangeness at a glance. Since others can build, he may also be able to build a teleportation formation based on some clues. It's just easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Even if he went in now and cut off Fuego and others, he couldn't get out by himself. What should I do? Although he couldn't get out of the Temple of Chishan, but if the real body was trapped in the first prison, it would be even more troublesome. Only relying on the clone could not sit in the Temple of the Chishan. There is still a god staring at the outside world. At the beginning, the god was able to enter the Temple of Chishan through the power of mind. Who knows if he can come in after getting out of trouble? It is true that he is the incarnation of the gods after the fall, but don't forget that God was once one of the origins of the gods. All of this may be possible. In case the magpie's nest is occupied by the dove, he will regret it too late. Except for him, no other person can be sent. Time goes backwards. The real spirit's figure began to dim, and his body entered a pavilion. It is the pavilion in the Sea of Origin. The space where the teleportation array had been established began to twist and change, and everything was turning. The battle of 100 years ago is vivid, and everything is in the eyes of the real spirit. He fiddled with time casually, as if everything was 100 years ago. Seeing everything when it happened, Zhenling's eyes shrank. Especially the scene when Nai Yuan broke out, he was surprised. Starry sky. That sword. Open the mountain with one sword and kill all enemies in front of you. It's a pity. Zhenling sighed. The loss of such a talent is also a big loss. If it is cultivated, it will not be weaker than those ultimate emperors. Chapter 55-55. Can't wait. Zhenling pointed out his finger, the space returned to its original appearance, and his figure disappeared in place. He dared not wait any longer. Now I have to solve all this. If the real body can't go, then you have to go to a law body to see it. If it didn't work, he would seriously hurt that first. Although separated by countless spaces, even the first prison was originally a complete universe. It was a cosmic space independent of the origin of the gods. With the strength of his real body, he could still severely wound the gods. But in this way, treating the symptoms rather than the root cause might make the dog jump the wall in a hurry. So he had to go in and take a look to see how far things have progressed. He knew the power of life in Jian Wushuang's body, and he was afraid that it would not take a few epochs to restore Fuego's strength to its peak. Fuego at the pinnacle is not weak. When the opponent was suppressed, a divine lord was dispatched. The strength of that divine lord was able to rank in the top 3 in the original time and space. The so-called Three Kings Court of the Pinnacle Force is like a piece of white paper in front of the Divine Lord, which can be broken easily. Lord of the Universe. Zhenling blinked. There is also a big difference in strength among the Masters of the Universe, and the level division is similar to that of the Emperor. The weak ones are even invincible. The strength of Jueyun was not weaker than those of the Masters of the Universe. Powerful, but also very against the sky, such as the gods, and the 3 major gods. However, the Kishan's strength was enough to disregard all the Masters of the Universe in Moruo's time and space, and he was regarded as the first-class powerhouse. Even if the 3 major gods are added together to fight against the gods, it is only a matter of thought. Tear. The space was torn out, and when it reappeared, it had already reached another space. The sky here is dim, there is no sun or too overcast. The operation of the space is also very wonderful. This place is not the space where the universe was born and evolved, but was created artificially. Xuanwu Temple, in the 7th world. As soon as the true spirit descended, Xianyi felt it, and at the same time frowned. He also knew a little about what happened in the 4 secret realms, and knew the seriousness of the matter. My lord, do you need help from your subordinates? Xianyi didn't make any further detours this time, and went straight to the subject. Zhenling is not hypocritical, standing side by side with Xian Yi, standing on the top of a towering mountain, overlooking the entire world. This place is the seventh world of Xuanwu Temple, very vast, no smaller than the heavens. It's just that there is no living person here, or there is no practitioner. All puppets. But these puppets are like people. At a glance, although the environment here is different in the four secret realms, the puppets everywhere are just like the practitioners in the four secret realms. I am going to the first prison, Xian Yi said in surprise. My lord, you can't come back if you go. The first prison is one way, and the four main hall masters all know this. If they don't go, they will come out within 3 epochs. Then who will stop For Ego? Zhenling turned his head and looked at Xian Yi. For Ego's strength can destroy the 3 kings. Although his strength is not as good as the Divine Lord, it is not much worse. He did have the strength to block, but it was just blocking it. What if the other party vandalizes in the Temple of Chishan? So he must enter the first prison. Whether it's the avatar or the real body, you should go in and take a look. Xian Yi lowered his head and sighed. My lord, what are you going to do? This is the end of the matter, there is no other way, you can only go in and have a look. Don't worry too much, the Temple of Fortune God is really going to end, maybe you are really free, right? There is something in the truth, and there are some dissatisfaction. Xian Yi was indeed a little cautious. In the unlikely event that the Divine Temple is really over, Xian Yi took the Xuanwu Temple and patted his and left. The current Xian Yi is no different from a cultivator, and this point is incomparable to several other palace masters and even true spirits. The true spirit couldn't even go out, and the other hall masters couldn't practice. But Xian Yi was different. He had the transformation of that senior at the time, and he was no different from a cultivator. My lord, I was originally created by the god of Qi, and I am a little moved with the temple of the god of Qi. Xian Yi was a little moved. He had moved with these thoughts, but the temple of the god of Qi was his home after all. He is not willing to give up easily. Zhenling shook his head, and said, in fact, it's pretty good. I have to leave some back for the Chishan temple. I don't blame you. In the event of an emergency, he even entrusted some things to Xian Yi. This time, I am coming to you and need you to do me a favor. Don't worry about treating you badly. Xian Yi hurriedly bowed and said, if you need anything, just speak up, the subordinates have nothing to say. Normally, the true spirit always said one thing, but now that he is in this posture, what he can say must be his full support. I want you to expeditiously help me refine a law body puppet, a puppet with the main power of the universe. Zhenling said. Xian Yi was stunned. It was not easy to have the power of the master of the universe, and the cost was higher than the cost of cultivating a master of the universe. Under normal circumstances, no one will do this, it is too wasteful. How long does it take? Nothing else. Now the important thing is time. Xian Yi thought for a while and said, 100 years. It is said that it is 100 years, but it is actually the fastest time to accelerate. The real time may be hundreds of millions of years. Zhenling nodded and said, all I need is the carrier. I will release the treasure. The sooner the better. After handing a mustard seed to Xian Yi, the true spirit did not stay much longer, and left the place directly. He has other things to arrange. Since a law body is dispatched, the combat power can be raised to the level of the master of the universe at most, and some helpers are needed. Ordinary duping naturally couldn't get into his eyes. Holy grave. This place is the most mysterious place in the Temple of Chishan, and it is also the place with the most powerful people. Although the place is sparsely populated, the strong ones that can be born are all strong. In the special life, under the accumulation of countless epochs, several extremely strong men were born, and these strong men were different from those who practiced. These special lives, Ukanshu. Com is a part of the origin of the gods, and there is no origin in itself. Some are just tyrannical divine bodies, so naturally they don't have any defects. In the deepest part of the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, there is a purple waterpool, and below the waterpool is a formation. Since the passage between the secret realms was opened, those special beings who were against the sky were suppressed here. Among these powerful special beings, Any one person can sweep across the world. In the heavens, the strongest aboriginal emperor is nothing but the pinnacle, the Mahayana realm of the cosmic secret method. In comparison, they were similar to those of the palace masters in the Yuan Laro Palace, far from reaching the level of Guangmu. And the special beings at the highest level suppressed here each have the strength of the Guangmu Tianzuan. Even some of them are comparable to Wu Zhuo, or Maureen God General. Chapter 55-56, Barren. Under the Scarlet Formation, on a barren ground, lie dozens of special beings with ugly appearances. Their faces are hideous, and their bodies are suppressed and swallowed by a force of power every moment. This feeling has tortured them for countless years. The true spirit came. These special beings who were tortured to exhaustion, stood up one by one, gritted their teeth and stared at the true spirit. It was this old man with white beard who suppressed them. Special beings, born in heaven and earth, are free and powerful creatures, how willing to be imprisoned here, so they hate and fear the true spirit very much. After all, you can suppress all of them here at will, and the strength has surpassed them too much. Although fearful, there is no fear in his heart, and even a strong will to fight. Damn it! A special being with a threaded horn on his head stared at the true spirit fiercely. The other special beings also gathered around one after another, staring at the true spirit as well. Zhenling glanced around and said with a smile, "These years, I still haven't changed the bad temper from you." In fact, the suppression didn't last long. Only a few million years had passed since the opening of the Temple of Chishan. For these wanton and special life, they can't stay for a moment. I'm waiting for the born god of war who was walking in the tomb of the gods. Would you dare to imprison me without fear of the rules of this world? The true spirit didn't care about it. He controlled the rules of this world. What was he afraid of? Thanks Tusk, you elm bumps, really stubborn. Zhenling shook his head. At the very beginning, he was still preparing to subdue these special beings. After all, his strength was not weak, and he was much stronger than the wastes of the Senate Palace. But this bad temper caused him a headache, so he was suppressed here. Zhenling didn't bother to talk nonsense with these special beings, and said straight to the point, "Don't you want to go out? Now there is a chance." When these special beings heard that they could go out, their eyes flashed golden light, and they leaned in again. The special life that took the lead changed his complexion and was also very tempted, but he knew that the other party's methods were special and very treacherous. Some couldn't believe it, so he retorted, "Why should we trust you? The true spirit is disdainful. These big idiots, who else can they believe if they don't believe him?" The Temple of Chishan is what he said, and without his orders, these special lives would be permanently suppressed. In the tomb of the gods, any special life whose strength is out of control will be suppressed. "Humph," Zhenling said coldly, "if you don't believe it, just stay here forever." After speaking, he pretended to leave. Those special beings suddenly became anxious, and several special beings with not weakened strength stood up and stopped the true spirit. Of course, they are not trying to attack the real spirit, but curiously asked, "The opportunity you mentioned is not to let me wait and surrender you." "Not all. It's just that this request will be a bit dangerous. If you are afraid, just forget it." Zhenling said casually, and continued to move forward. The strongest special beings whispered to each other and began to calculate. As long as it is not surrender, they have nothing unacceptable. As for fear, is there a special life born against the sky, which one would be afraid of? Even if a powerful person like the true spirit comes in person, they are not afraid. Good. We promise you. The special beings that have been discussed have spoken one after another. True Spirit smiled secretly in his heart. These special beings were still so mindless. Compared to the Kaishui Walker on the Tomb God Mountain, these special beings here are like a group of children. The True Spirit leaked a smile and said, "That's right, you are the strongest beings in the 4 secret realms, how can you be afraid of death?" With that, he looked at the special beings who were hesitant in the corner. Hearing these words, the other special beings gritted their teeth and stood up. 72 special beings all agreed. Zhenling also said the request. He is not afraid of these special beings repenting. What these special beings value most is their face and dignity. Half-step the Lord of the Universe. After hearing Genling's request, they all leaked a trace of warfare. In the face of a powerful enemy, there is no fear, but the fighting spirit is boiling. Staying in the tomb of the gods, they have never encountered a powerful cultivator. The strongest is the 13 guardians. Their strength is not particularly strong, but there is a certain kind of treasure that can specifically suppress them. Now I heard that the true spirit would take them to kill the 2 half-step universe masters, and my heart was very excited. As long as this matter is successful, I can not only return you to freedom, you can freely travel through the 4 secret realms in the future, and I will not bother you. As long as it is not a mass murder, I will not care about killing and killing at will. Zhenling was a little worried that these people's special lives would not work hard, and then released a huge temptation. As soon as I heard that after success, I was able to travel through the 4 secret realms, and these special beings were even more yearning. They have stayed in the tomb of the gods and don't know how many epochs. They have lived in the tomb of the gods since their birth, and the boundary wall was broken. They just went out and caught them back. They were suppressed before going to the other 3 secret realms in this place. The bottom of my heart is very unwilling. Now the true spirit promises that in the future, he can travel through the 4 secret realms at will, and one after another leaks joy. These special beings, the various divine bodies, are more than 60,000 times the existence. The strongest one is already 80,000 times the body, which is stronger than the dragon god. Already comparable to Yun's Hongjun. I really want to give them freedom. I am afraid that the 4 secret realms will be messed up. The true spirits are so cunning, but they never thought of giving them freedom. He will take these special lives to the first prison. Of course his real body will not go. If you go to the real body, you don't need the help of these special beings. He wants to use Xuanwu Hall to give him a refining clone to go. Although the clone refining from Xuanwu Temple is alone in time and space, after all, it is not as powerful as the real body, and still needs some helpers. These special beings are the best helpers. Do not say that each strength is tyrannical, is also full of fighting spirit. At least he wouldn't dare to go paddling like those in Wuzhou. By then, regardless of success or failure, they will be permanently trapped in the first prison. Once and for all. Don't worry about these people anymore. I really wanted to give them freedom, but on the contrary, it left another evil for myself. Regardless of the simple minds of these special beings, they can be harmed and no one can cure them. When the time comes, the White Tiger Palace will have to poke his spine. The chaos in the realm now is enough to make the White Tiger Palace a headache. In the future, these special beings will enter the realm again, and it will really be a mess in the world. And apart from the true spirit and several hall masters and generals, no one can shake the special beings of the master. Chapter 55-57. After negotiating the conditions, Zhenling directly withdrew the formation from this place. 100 years will pass in the blink of an eye. The first prison. Jian Wushuang and the others did not discover the real spirit's movements. Especially the Frozer, not even watching the 4 secret realms, just instructs the practitioners who are bewitched by him to make trouble in the realm and attract attention. For 100 years, Jian Wushuang hasn't stopped for a moment, and Foyigo's strength has begun to rise. Jian Wushuang lowered his eyes and looked at Foyigo unscrupulously. Anyway, the opponent didn't have any reservations. Not only could he feel the opponent's strength, but he could also clearly see the origin. That is a colorful origin, a perfect space origin, very solid, that is the cosmic space. There is also a narrow source, the source of time. Dao Monarch masters the source of mastery, such as Jian Wushuang's ultimate kendo and ultimate kendo. After integrating the essence of major training into the space, he will be the emperor, and he will also cultivate the essence of space. Although he can now cultivate the essence of space, he has not merged the kendo and the extreme way into the origin of space. The stronger the origin of his space now, the smoother the harmony will be in the future. However, it is very slow and difficult to cultivate the origin of space in the posture of a Taoist monarch, and it is impossible to reach a higher realm. Just like now, he has mastered 99% of the black hole, and he still can't take that step. If he stepped into the emperor, He might be able to master the black hole realm in an instant, or even reach the peak of the black hole quickly. But now it is Dao Jun, but it is binding him. The Emperor corresponds to space, and the Lord of the Universe corresponds to time. The prerequisite for becoming the master of the universe is to cultivate the origin of space to completion. When you are a prince, the source of cultivation is to be able to unite without consummation, but when you reach the Emperor, you need spatial consummation. Condensing space into the universe, without reaching this point, it will not be possible to impact the Lord of the Universe. After becoming the master of the universe, what you cultivate is still the origin, but the origin of a higher level. The origin of time. That is the even more incredible source, mastering the time of the universe. Space and time are the two peak origins. Mastering the complete origin of the universe is the master of the universe. What if we master the complete origin of time? Jian Wushuang thought in his heart. He knew very little about the Lord of the Universe, and he had a lot of doubts in his heart. After becoming the master of the universe, he will master a trace of the origin of time, which he knows, but he wants to cultivate the origin of time to perfection, and he dare not guess too much about it. Time, one of the strongest rules. I am afraid that only the Lord of the Universe will know. Just cultivating the space to consummation is eligible to enter the ranks of the masters of the universe. If you cultivate both to consummation, and then merge them into one, what will happen? What level will that be? After observing the origin of Fuego, he has a lot of curiosity in his heart. One is because, in the Three Kings ruins, he met teacher Xian Yi, and he wanted to know exactly what kind of existence teacher Xian Yi was. The least strength is the master level of the universe, and it will be stronger. The chessboard left to him was the treasure of time and space. Maruo was so powerful that there were only a few pieces. He never expected that teacher Xian Yi's shot would be a treasure of time and space. When I was in other realms, the things I gave were very special, but compared to the present, they were all strange things, not precious. But now, it's different. He felt that he was very close to the secret of teacher Xian Yi. At the beginning, he was deliberately cultivated. Why, all of this needs an explanation. The closer he got, the more doubtful he was in his heart. Also, does the experience of the starry sky have something to do with teacher Xian Yi? Jian Wushuang shook his head lightly. This may not have much connection. But the Temple of Chishan definitely has some connection with teacher Xuani. Even the first true king at the time could not be regarded as a disciple. The Guantian chessboard was also sent to him by the opponent's hand. All these plans were too big. The opponent is the first true king among the three kings, the powerhouse of the Lord of the Universe. This won't be in Xian Yi's eyes. The in the distance found that Jian Wushuang's thought power had weakened slightly, opened his eyes and looked at Jian Wushuang. Why, something on my mind? God Frozer said calmly. He takes Jian Wushuang very seriously. If he could escape from the Temple of Chishan smoothly this time, he wouldn't mind taking Jian Wushuang with him. With Jian Wushuang's life force, it is very helpful for him to stand firm in other time and space. The Lord of the Universe is very powerful, especially Fuego has reached the pinnacle of the Lord of the Universe. No matter where he goes, he is the overlord of one party. But this is far from enough. To rule a time and space, the strength needed is at least the existence of the gods. To that level, the two of them still have a long way to go. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised when he heard the gods take the initiative to speak. He didn't expect this to be very indifferent to this day. According to common sense, this is not the most urgent moment, and there is still this heart that cares about him. This made him a little flattered. At the same time, he also began to worry about the conspiracy in his heart. Although he is a fish now, even if the opponent recovers his strength, it is estimated that he will not be treated like him. After all, his life force is very special. No matter who it is of great use. Jian Wushuang groaned for a while, and then also said the doubts in his heart. The Frozer leaked a smile after listening. He didn't conceal anything about this question. The Lord of the Universe, although he didn't see much, had far less experience than Fuego's earlier born giants, but he knew something based on inherited memory. The Lord of the Universe is actually not as strong as you think, or it is very common in other time and space, very common. Hearing this sentence, Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment, and then he understood. The vision of the two is different, the other is born as the master of the universe. Not to mention the mortal stage, even mastering the Tao is innate, directly crossing countless levels and reaching the top in their eyes, but in the eyes of the gods, it is just the beginning. In this way, for the giants, the Lord of the universe is indeed very simple and ordinary. My lord, are you innately consummated? Jian Wushuang asked in confusion. He was very skeptical. The natural space is consummated, shouldn't it be the natural king of beast gods? If the universe is not complete, how can one be born as the Lord of the universe? The Frozer said indifferently, actually, it's not all. Judging by the realm of your practitioners, you really need space to reach the master of the universe, but don't forget that the giant tribe is not a practitioner. Speaking of this, Frozer's eyes exuded a proud king's breath. Chapter 55-58. The giant clan is the most powerful creature in the starry sky. Those so-called natural beast gods are only bred in time and space, and our giant clan is the most perfect creature bred in the starry sky, and it is also the number one in the entire starry sky. An ethnic group. This is not an exaggeration. There are only a few natural beast gods, and they are transformed according to all things in time and space, just so few. And it can't reproduce. This is the most important point, but the giant clan is different. Not only can it reproduce, but it also has inherited memory that the beast does not have. That is the real Wei Bao. In addition to these giants who descended in the long river of time and space, there are also some powerful giants who were born in the starry sky. Swim in the endless starry sky. That is the real strong. A space and time can be wiped out at the fingertips. Jian Wushuang was shocked. He never expected that there would be such a powerful ethnic group in the starry sky. Frozer looked at Jian Wushuang and comforted, "You don't need to worry about it, you can master the power of life. You are rarer than the Titans. The Lord of the universe is just the beginning. You have a long way to go. The power of life, that is the magical power that can create all things. No matter how powerful the giant clan is, it is one of life after all. No matter how strong it is, can it escape from all things in life? Even the special beings that defy the sky are all beings given away by the origin of the universe. Unless it is a powerful will-type race, it can give up the power of life. But this kind of ethnic group either died prematurely, or just lacked in strength. Whether it's the universe, time, space, or starry sky, they all love life. This is the number one rule. No way to change. In this way, Jian Wushuang is really hopeful, standing at the pinnacle of this starry sky. But since he knew that Nai Yuan was able to enter the starry sky, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to belittle himself. In the past, he thought that he was the choice of heaven, but now he doesn't look at it like that. Can't be careless. My lord is joking, I'm just a Taoist monarch, and now it's a catastrophe for me to be together. How dare I look at the Lord of the universe? Jian Wushuang said modestly. When the Frozer heard the catastrophe, his face changed, and then he smiled and said, "You are right. The catastrophe should not be underestimated. Even the Lord of the universe will fall under every catastrophe, not to mention you little guys." Regarding the information of the Lord of the universe, Jian Wushuang was very sensitive. Hearing the divine spirit mentioned it, he hurriedly asked, "The catastrophe that the Lord of the universe will fall? You don't think that the Lord of the universe will not fall?" Jian Wushuang shook his head, and said, "Is it true? I'm just curious about what kind of catastrophe the Lord of the universe will encounter. Could it be caused by some fighting? Isn't this, let's tell you this. There were a lot of cosmos lords in the temple of the gods where you were located. You should know that the strongest god of gods is very powerful, even if compared to some of the ancestors in my inherited memory. They are all powerful and against the sky. They can suppress a time and space with their own power, but even so powerful, he has fallen under his own calamity." The said very moved. Although he was suppressed by the gods, he still admired the strength of the gods from the bottom of my heart. After all, it is a strong man who can compare favorably with the super strong in the giant clan. Is it man-made, Or is it a catastrophe under the rules? Jian Wushuang felt incredible. The gods have fallen, but their inheritors did not know why they fell. Regarding the fall of the gods, the first true king didn't say much. In fact, he has always guessed, and even thought of what happened to His Royal Highness Maureen. On the single-plank bridge, he saw the gods, but he didn't see his face clearly, but the other person's tone was full of resentment. And also broke his own origin. It will be swallowed together, and alive withdrawn from the origin of the space. This is a means of self-defeating strength. The Frozer, with a reminiscence in his eyes, said in a serious tone, "It is the original consciousness of the starry sky." As soon as the voice fell, it seemed as if a pair of invisible eyes descended, staring at the first prison. The other people didn't feel that feeling, but the two people who were talking felt it. The origin of consciousness of the starry sky. That is a powerful consciousness that is several levels higher than the original consciousness of the universe. The primitive universe has an original consciousness, and the domain also has an innate original Tao. When the domain is controlled by the emperor, the original consciousness will return to the origin of the universe, and the original consciousness of the universe will be controlled by the master of the universe, and the original consciousness of the universe will return to the origin of time and space. Above time and space is the original consciousness of the starry sky. That is the true pinnacle. Although there was in awe and felt the coming of that consciousness, he was not worried. He might be worried about the original consciousness of the universe. But the consciousness of the starry sky cannot interfere with them. This is recorded in the memory of the inheritors. The superpowers of their giants once dared to provoke the starry sky consciousness, nothing happened. Although it was okay, the gods did not have the guts to provoke. After all, he was not a super strong. With that time really, he might try one or two. You can feel it. The found Jian Wushuang sweating on his forehead, as if being suppressed by something. Jian Wushuang nodded without answering. He couldn't wear it. That consciousness seemed to stand on top of his head, and his breathing was a little unstable when pressed, and the life force in his body was also extremely boiling. Snatcher. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly shrank, and a voice rang in his mind, and he seemed to be out of the space here, even out of the original time. Just a few words, let him be like this. The feeling of fear made his mood instantly broken. Cool. In an instant, he recovered again, panting heavily, and the cold sweat on his forehead instantly urged. You are a Taoist monarch, you can actually sense the starry sky consciousness. The god's eyes were almost bursting, and he stared at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. His tone was very surprised. Jian Wushuang was a little confused. Could only the Lord of the Universe be able to sense it? Think about it again, that's right. He is a Taoist monarch, and he doesn't even understand time, the strange consciousness of the starry sky above time and space, Ukanshu. How could he feel it? And he also heard a strange voice. Stealer. Jian Wushuang was worried secretly in his heart. What is a thief? It's actually a thief. Is he a thief? Yes. Not really. The power of life belongs to life or not. This is a false proposition. No one can say the exact answer. Even the gods say that few master the power of life. The other party has the memory of the inheritor, which is equivalent to the knowledge of the entire giant clan. End of this chapter. Chapter 55-59. Even the other party said it was very rare. I am afraid that he alone has the power of life in their time and space. There are not many people in the entire starry sky. The life force, one-sidedly speaking, is given by the parents. In the bigger picture, it is bestowed by the universe. But he has this ability. Are you a thief? Stealing the life force bestowed by the starry sky consciousness? No. Jian Wushuang was determined in his heart. It's not just talking about it. In the mundane small world, the opposite is a small world. He did it, otherwise it would not be possible to go to this day. Now in the universe, going against the sky is reversing the original consciousness of the universe. At this point, he didn't know whether he had done it or not. Now a starry consciousness suddenly appeared, saying that he was a thief, and he was very resentful. Could it be that he has just turned the sky over in one step? Jian Wushuang found it incredible, and the gods also found it incredible. It is good for a daoist to feel the origin consciousness of the realm. Generally, when he is a daoist, he is considered to be a daoist against the heavens after being recognized by the origin of the space. Further up, it is the original consciousness of the universe, which can only be peeped by the emperor. But now Jian Wushuang, a Taoist monarch, can actually attract the attention of the starry sky consciousness. How many levels the opponent has crossed? Is it because of the power of life? The is also very puzzled. According to some information in the inheritance memory, he has a comprehensive understanding of the power of life. There once appeared a powerful existence in the starry sky that mastered the power of life, and that existence opened up a long river of life. Time and space are isolated there, no one can find it. Only later, someone discovered a dilapidated ancient river, and their giants also sent some strong men to explore it, and finally determined that it was the legendary river of life. As for where the super strong man who mastered the power of life went, I don't know. But this legend has been circulating for a long time. Many people think that the existence has not yet fallen, but the river of life created by the other party has withered. If it hadn't fallen, where would it go? Looking at Jian Wushuang now, Junling has some fear. He even shook his idea of taking Jian Wushuang away. All practitioners who go against the sky are a curse, and wherever they go, they are a curse. Maybe that day, he will even fall. Master God, this starry sky consciousness. Jian Wushuang wanted to ask, but was stopped by the gods. The Frozer squeezed the palm of his hand and said, "Don't mention this matter again. When you become stronger, you will know it. I'll tell you about the Lord of the Universe." Anyway, boring, the two began to chat. The Master of the Universe is said to be the Master of the Universe, but it is not that simple to master a universe. Just like some weaker emperors, you need a second-tier emperor if you want to master the lower realm. The middle world needs a third-order emperor. The higher world needs a fourth-order emperor. The Lord of the Universe is the same. When you first enter the realm of the Master of the Universe, it is not that simple to master a primitive universe. To be precise, before mastering the universe, one cannot be called the Lord of the Universe. After all, if you don't even have a grasp of the universe, there is no such thing as the Lord of the Universe. In fact, the Lord of the Universe is just a title. Above the Emperor, it is the robbery realm. The robbery is divided into 9 calamities. Only after completing the first 3 calamities can you be qualified to control the universe. However, there are very few strong people who can survive the first 3 calamities. Many experts in the tribulation realm will suppress their own strength when they are not sure of crossing the tribulation. Jian Wushuang was a little emotional. It turned out that there was nothing good at the peak of the universe. If those emperors knew it, they wouldn't be so yearning. After all, the emperor, but there is no disaster, especially the most powerful, the mood is perfect and immortal. Becoming a catastrophe is in danger of falling. However, there was a doubt in Jian Wushuang's heart. If he suppressed his strength and didn't go to the catastrophe, wouldn't it be enough to wait until his strength was enough? But when he said it, the gods laughed. It's really that simple, it won't be the tribulation realm. The time for suppression is limited. No one can win the tribulation when the tribulation comes. At the beginning, the strong people such as the gods, and the superpowers in our clan, did not who can do it. According to your practitioners, it is impossible to escape. That has nothing to do with Jian Wushuang's innocence, but just explained with a smile. Jian Wushuang also laughed. He didn't know how he could say such a stupid method. It was so simple, and the gods would not fall. The spirit said quietly, "However, everything has a ray of life. If you can't get through or suppress it, someone will cut off your roots. In this way, there is no hope of further improvement, but you can also live a happy life. It is very common in some powerful time-space long rivers, otherwise the powerhouse of the tribulation realm would have died early." That said, at the beginning, the god of Chisho killed the devouring origin because it was not sure to cross the catastrophe. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised, but also some loss. The strong people like Chishan all cut their roots. This is too difficult for those practitioners on the road to the strong, I am afraid that most people will face death directly, and are not willing to cut off their roots. When the heard it, he shook his head, and said without hesitation, "You guessed wrong, the of disbelief originally cut off his origin. Although I don't know why it was because of it, in the end he fell to his own master. Under the robbery. When I was suppressed here at the beginning, there were some experts in the calamity realm who said that if the gods do not cut off their devouring origin, they can't overcome the calamity at all, so they will cut the devouring origin first, but only cut their own origin. Afterwards, it is a pity that Kishan's strength dropped sharply and eventually fell. The gods were a little bit sighed. Jian Wushuang was relieved. He respected Chishan from the bottom of his heart. If characters like Chishan were unable to face the catastrophe, his mood would be disturbed. Then he asked curiously, "Sir Shenling, don't you know how many catastrophes did the Chishan survive in the first place?" Fangshan fell in the 8th catastrophe. 8 tribulations. That is an insurmountable height. As long as Ukanshu Com crosses over, the gods are the real time and space overlords, and they are all superpowers in the starry sky. Jian Wushuang's heart was shocked. He originally thought that God of God would fall in the 9th calamity, but he didn't expect it to be the 8th calamity. Don't underestimate the 8th calamity. The gods saw Jian Wushuang's thoughts and shouted, "Among the 9 calamities, the 3rd, 6th, and 9 calamities are all hacks. The Chishan can go to the 8th calamity. You can already look down upon the long river of time and space. If the of disbelief had cut off his own devouring origin, it might have passed by. Unfortunately, if you really want to become a powerhouse in the 8 tribulations realm, I am afraid that there will not be the Temple of Chishan today. But there is another point. Although the God of God failed to cross the tribulation, how did Maruor time and space be destroyed? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.